Today we are going to be here at EPCOT. Hi everybody and welcome to the World of Micah. Today we are going to be visiting EPCOT, where we're going to be taking some postcards that I have found from the early 80s and see how much has changed in each of these locations. You guys are going to get to tag along. It's going to be a ton of fun. I enjoy doing this. If you're new here, click that subscribe button. If you would like to support my channel, the link to my Patreon page is down below. Now, first stop's going to be right here in front of Spaceship Earth. They've been doing a lot of construction. A lot has changed in this area, but the monorail track and Spaceship Earth still remain the same, even since this postcard photograph was taken back in the early 80s. Kind of wish the monorail was operating. They're not operating it right now since there's no sense in taking the monorail since you can't park hop. So the monorail has been closed because of that, but I would still like to see it running, because who doesn't like to get a photograph of the monorail going by Spaceship Earth? This is what it looks like current day, 2020. Can't wait for them to be done with all the construction and we can see exactly what this front entrance is going to be all about. On a side note, I do love the architecture on the side of the Guardians of the Galaxy coaster that's coming. The former home of Ellen's Energy Adventure. For some reason, I just like walking over here and seeing the side of the building. Used to, you couldn't have access to this, so it's kind of cool to see it. Next location was right here. This was the World of Motion presented by General Motors. Now it is known as Test Track, presented by Chevrolet. There was no Test Track banner and overhang. As you can see in the photograph, the building was completely bare. I kind of miss those days because the architecture of the building is pretty awesome, very futuristic. Plus, I just love that World of Motion sign. I do kind of miss that. But this is what it looks like in the year 2020. A lot has been updated in this place, but it was World of Motion. There are a few nods still here to World of Motion. The original symbol can be found throughout the attraction. Here's one on the trash can. You can see it right there. That was the World of Motion symbol back when EPCOT was really heavily relying on symbols to promote each attraction and location throughout the park. And I'm not sure when they replaced the flower bed area that had the sign, but I'm guessing it was in this general area where this current sign is. I guess it does make sense to have this overhang because it does get hot here in Central Florida. So it will help as you're waiting in line. But if you come right up here to the front, you can still see the original building there. Holy moly, look at those guys on the side of the former Wonders of Life Pavilion. Doing all kind of construction up there. It's just cool to see guys actually on the pavilion. That's way up there. Heading into World Showcase now. Gonna start off towards the Mexico Pavilion. Now this is progress for you. Straight ahead is the Mexican Pavilion. You wouldn't think that if you didn't know where I was. To the right is the bridge that leads into the pavilion. Put the photograph in right now and you can see exactly where we were standing. See how much is overgrown since the 80s? Insane, if you ask me. This whole area is unrecognizable. The pavilion is completely covered up with trees and palm trees and plants, and you can't even see the bridge. And then this is again what it looks like in the year 2020. Time has happened here. If you come right over here to the side, you can kind of make it out now. See, it looks a little bit more like the postcard where the photograph was taken right over here. You could barely see anything. I feel like at one point the water was maybe just a little bigger in this area. My gosh, how much this is overgrown, but I do like it. All the flowers and plants. It's very nice. Feels like you're entering into a new land. And there's the pavilion. kind of crazy how much you actually could see of the pavilion and how much now is covering it up. The margarita stand was also not here, and that does add to the blocking of the pavilion. Kind of crazy too that those trees were not in that photograph. That whole area was completely open. You could see both sides of the pavilion. Blows my mind looking at these old postcards and then comparing them to today. You don't think about things like trees and plants overgrowing and covering things up, but it does give you some shade over there. Oh.
Please wear a face covering at all times, except when actively eating or drinking while stationary. Wash your hands often and thoroughly. Cover your mouth and nose when coughing and sneezing, and maintain physical distancing. Thank you for your cooperation.
Every time that guy talks, I feel like I need to stop and let him talk. Does anybody else like to stop off on the romantic road here in Epcot to look at the trains? I always do. I know it's funny because it's just trains, but I always like to stop off and watch these guys. I'd love to have something like this in my backyard. Definitely reminds me of Walt. It's like a little piece of Walt Disney is here in Epcot. Alright, gonna continue our journey and continue on to the next spot. Gonna head inside the American Adventure to see what's happening since the Voices of Liberty are not performing here. Oh my goodness, look at this. No one's inside. I have this whole place to myself. This is the first time this has ever happened. Crazy to walk in here and see all this stuff without anyone being around. I do agree with that. Absolutely. You know, I've actually never walked over here and looked at this painting. This is pretty impressive. Wow. It's called Reaching for the Stars. Robert McCall, 1982. Since there's really no one here, I'm gonna walk into the American Heritage Gallery, see what's happening. Because I don't like to talk loud in these things when there's people in here trying to read. But since it's just us, why not? Wow. I had no idea this stuff was in here. Seminole Princess Jewelry Set. 1875 Mississippi, where I'm from. Yeah, the Choctaws. Little Choctaw man shoulder sash. And a little tongue twister there. This is really awesome. California and Hawaii. Look at the Aloha shirt. That's really cool. Next time you're here, check it out. I believe this gallery does change from time to time. Just one last shot of the American Adventure. This will be something for the history bucks right here. I do miss the Voices of Liberty. I tell you guys what, I do enjoy these little pop-up interactions they have with the characters. And it's cool to also see old school vehicles back here in Epcot. You know, they used to have the vehicles here all the time that would travel around the World Showcase, and it's pretty cool to see those back again. Even better to see it with the characters on the vehicles. Really, really cool. So our next stop is in England, and in this postcard I want you to pay attention to something because it ties in to what I was just talking about with the princesses on the vehicles. In this photograph, there is a double-decker vehicle you can see. They used to drive those and ride those around here in the World Showcase. I actually found the double-decker bus. I'll put a link to that video down below. Alright, and this is the spot for this postcard. You can see the family there getting their photograph with the double-decker bus. The dad taking the photograph. It's pretty cool. I can't believe I found that double-decker bus in Kissimmee, Florida, of all places. Like I said, if you click the link down below, it'll take you to that video. You can see what that double-decker bus looks like nowadays. But this is what this area looks like in the year 2020. Not a whole lot has changed. The only thing that really has changed is there are no double-decker buses riding around in the World Showcase. But this is where that photograph was taken, in the United Kingdom Pavilion. Now this next shot was taken, I believe, down near that monorail track, right there for the angle. But this is the closest as I can get to this angle. You can see the backwards waterfall there going up in the Imagination Pavilion. And this was back when it had a different design on the top of the fountain. You can see, looks like this was taken right at sundown. Pretty amazing. This is what it looks like current day. In the shot, they did not have the monorail track in there. I believe they were standing down somewhere in here so you could get the wide angle low shot with the water. Pretty cool. And our next and final spot is right over there on the other side of the fountain. So the shot was right about here. In the photograph you can see that structure in the fountain, the monorail, and the land pavilion. All three here. On the top it says, visit Walt Disney World EPCOT Center. Pretty cool, man. Very EPCOT. Very weird to use this spot for the postcard. But you know, this does really look like EPCOT, this area. This is what it looks like current day. Monorail not running right now because there's no park hopping. Fountain really has not changed at all. And then the land pavilion also has not changed. Pretty cool to be able to come and match up this spot. And I tell you, this water looks so refreshing right now. I just want to jump in there and swim. It's so warm today. Looks pretty refreshing. Well, you guys, I think our adventure is done for today. It was a lot of fun traveling around and finding the spots from those postcards from the early 80s. A few things have changed in this park, but a lot of things still remain the same. You just kind of got to dig deep and you'll find them. Well, it's time to say goodbye, but if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a big thumbs up. I will see you guys tomorrow on a brand new episode of World of Micah. Until then, stay weird. Goodbye.